Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone else, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jacob Pearsall, and it has been a very long time since I've been here. But that's not what this is about. Today, we are going to be talking about the Sacramento Kings for this upcoming season. How good will they be? How much do I expect from the young guys? Who do I like and dislike? And how is their season last year going to be different? So let's take a look. How good are the Sacramento Kings? I suppose the best way to start this off is by talking about last year and how that train wreck of a season went. No disrespect to any Kings fans. Shout out Nick. But the Kings were 22-60. They were 7-34 away. So they were about 50% win percentage at home, 7 for 34 away. It's not a good recipe for success. They also had the worst point differential in the NBA from anyone outside of the Wizards. So that's an interesting little tidbit there. They were 28th in points per game, 26th in opponent points per game, while being 28th in defensive rating in the NBA. They were also 26th in second chance points. They had problems getting rebounds, specifically defensive rebounds, after a miss from the opponent's offensive shot. They were 56% true shooting, second worst in the NBA. They had a negative 10 plus minus. And it's interesting to me how, with all the offensive talent on that team, despite the injuries, I mean, when they were healthy at least, they still looked so bad. Their offense was so bad. And that, to me, wasn't even the worst part. The defense was unbelievably bad. And from what I've heard from Kings fans, it was disgusting to watch this team night in, night out, because the effort defensively just wasn't there. Led by the famous UNC duo, world-renowned duo of DeMar DeRozan and Russell Westbrook. LaVine and Sabonis missed a lot of time, 39 games played for LaVine, 19 for Sabonis, with Malik Monk and Keegan Murray also getting crucial minutes to this team when healthy. This team was very bad last year, and in my opinion, to give a sneak peek on my opinion, they're going to be very bad this year. Let's go ahead and talk about the Summer League stuff. Nique Clifford's, who we're going to start with, their draft pick last year, who is showing signs of being aggressive and more comfortable in the NBA, at least in the Summer League. However, he was not efficient. He was not efficient whatsoever, really struggled to put the ball in the hoop efficiently and consistently. Acuff looks pretty sloppy, but I'm not too worried. Again, there's only so much stock you can put into Summer League. It's been proven wrong time and time again. Bring up the Kyle Kuzma, Jason Tatum graphic. That shows all I need to say. But Acuff looked better. Acuff struggled early on, but looked better against the Nets, although they were blown out, and although he had 5 assists to 5 turnovers, he was much more efficient. He looked more comfortable in that game, getting to his spots, and that's really important for him because he's athletic, but he's not the athletic guy. You know, he can make up for his height sometimes, but he's not going to be yamming on your head 360 windmill. Let's move on to Alex Karaban, who had a really good showing versus the Celtics. 21 points, 7 for 15 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3, 8 rebounds. However, the next game, 2 for 8 from 3. Still finished 6 for 12 from the field, though, so he doesn't just have to hit those catch-and-shoot spots. Those are my Summer League thoughts. Let's go ahead and pivot to the rookies, Alex Karaban, Darius Acuff Jr. Karaban can play off 2 feet in the paint, and that's something you like to see. He can have that patience on the interior. He has potential to stretch the floor very well off the catch and shoot. We haven't seen a ton from him. I don't know how he's going to be on the drive from off the catch, but he's willing to relocate off ball, and that's something you love to see from a shooter, someone who's willing to move a lot off ball, try to find an opening, and take that shot. I think he could be a movement shooter throughout his NBA career if he capitalizes on the potential that he has. Looks like he can be a great complementary player to the ball handlers around him. He can't create his own shots extremely well. And there are defensive questions, there are athleticism questions. I still think he's going to be a solid piece in the NBA for a team. I don't know if it'll be the Kings in the next 5 years, but I think he'll still be in the NBA in 5 years. Next, we're going to go ahead and move to Darius Acuff Jr., the star of the show for the Sacramento Kings this year. The person who is piquing everyone's interest, and he's one of the most interesting characters in this year's draft. Offensive potential is through the roof, but his offense has to be really good for him to be a successful NBA player on a winning team because of his size, his athleticism deficiencies, and his defensive effort. He's shown some more defensive effort that I've seen in the Summer League, which was good. However, with his size and frame, it's going to be tough for him to guard those bigger players. Love his patience in the pick and roll at times. He can take his time to find an opening. Don't force a pass to the big when there isn't one. He can split the defense well off the pick and roll as well, and he was really good in the Summer League at finding baseline cutters for that lob pass. He did a really good job elevating, getting to his spots in the paint area, a little bit maybe short mid-range. He elevated, got above the defense, and got a shot to fall multiple times throughout the Summer League and did a really good job of getting to those positions. Some of those were very tough shots, elevating very high to over a big contest. So it's a lot harder to do versus more physical and athletic and taller players that you're going to see, bigger players you're going to see in the NBA. But it's a good sign for Acuff. Maxime Reynaud is really, really interesting to me. He, to me, aside from Acuff, is probably the most interesting part to this Kings team for me. He's a good driver off the catch. He has a lot of dunks, alley-oops, finishes at the rim from Russell Westbrook dishing him the ball. He has good touch around the rim at 73%. That's 5 higher than the NBA average. He is an overall 54% mid-range shooter, which is around 10% higher than the average. However, there are defensive questions that I have, especially out on the perimeter. And for his position being a center, that does worry me a bit to have your center, really both centers, be question marks on defense for this Kings roster. And the three-point shot looks very suspect. He has time to develop that, though. 32% last year. It's not a lot to be happy about, but he's taking them. He's going to improve, hopefully, for the Kings, and I think he's going to be a solid player in the NBA. Next, we're going to move on to the players. I don't know how I feel about these guys. The biggest question mark for me, Domantas Sabonis. Now, Sabonis is a multiple-time All-Star, and he's been a box score beast in years past, but what does he still have in the tank, and can he lead to serious winning basketball? Last year, he played 19 games, but the year before that, in the 24-25 season, he had a really solid year numbers-wise, 19, 14, and 6 points, rebounds, assists, very efficient. The problem is the defense, which hasn't been good, at least as long as he's been a King. The shooting is also suspect. Yes, he shot 42% 2 years ago. However, that was on, 2 attempts a game, all wide open threes. The Kings were never looking for that shot. The Kings were never like, let's get a Domantas Sabonis 3 here. That was what the defense gave up to the Kings and seceded. They allowed Domantas Sabonis to have that shot. And he made it 42% of the time. Good for him. However, last season, not quite as good. Although he only played 19 games, he shot 19% from 3. I'm not going to hold that too much against him, but it's not a good sign going into this year. And I don't think he'll shoot 19% from 3 this next year, but it's still something to be worried about. The next name I don't know how to feel about is Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray was slated as a 3-and-D guy back in his rookie season, but year by year, that three-point percentage and that 3-and-D has turned into just D. 2022, 41% from 3 on 6 attempts a game. That's great. That is great shooting. 2023, 36% on 7 attempts per game. I'm way okay with that. 2024, 34% at 6 attempts a game. You're getting to a lower percentage here. 6 attempts a game, high volume for his role. It's not too bad. Last year, 28% on 5 attempts per game in 23 games played. That's an issue. Hopefully that 3-point shot returns. Defense, though, is so good. And I think I'm actually going to put him up in the guys I like tier because his defense is so good. And I have faith that 3-point shot can at least be 35% on high volume going into next year, at least through by the end of next year. His defense is so good, and I'm banking on Keegan Murray to have a solid year. The last name I have for the players that I'm not sure about is Nick Clifford. I don't know, man. It's year 2. He hasn't shown much to me that really sticks out on the stat sheet through watching. Nothing that really makes me think that he is going to be a solid NBA player. He's only in his 2nd year. He has plenty of time to improve, but in the summer league, he hasn't looked great. And last year, he put up 9 points per game on 50% true shooting for an awful team that doesn't inspire a lot of hope. Hey, he's 24 years old. He still has time to develop. But when you go out and get a 23-year-old in the draft, you hope he looks a little bit more complete than he does right now. Let's go ahead and talk about the players that I don't have a ton of faith in. Starting off with Zach LaVine, potentially the most empty stats player in the NBA. He can score and shoot. Good for you. What else can you do? What else can you contribute to the basketball court? What else can you do that impacts winning? And there's not much there. I'd say he could start on a winning team, but I don't think he could be the guy. I don't think he could be the second guy. He could maybe be the third guy on a very good defensive team around him, and I could see him leading to success. You need a lot of caveats for him to be a solid player in your rotation. The Kings don't have the players around him to make that work. Also, Malik Monk is just Zach LaVine, but a worse shooter and a better passer by a little bit. Everything I said pretty much goes for him. I don't have a lot of faith in Malik Monk at this point in his career. He's a fine 6th man, but he's not going to save the Kings. What to expect? Now, as to what I'm expecting for this upcoming year, they had tiny additions. I don't like the defense this year. Your 2 best players can't defend with LaVine and Sabonis. And Sabonis is playing the most important defensive position in basketball. They haven't done anything in free agency. They let go of Russ seemingly because he's still not back with any team as of now. He drafted 2 guys that I like. I definitely like. And he signed some bench pieces and players you don't expect to get a ton of run this year. I expect the Kings to be the worst team in basketball this upcoming year, maybe 2nd worst. We'll talk about the team that could be competing with them probably in the next video. The defense worries me. The offense is not cohesive. They don't have a true point guard. There's just too many question marks for this team for me to consider them being even a play-in team. I really don't know if any team drops below 20 wins this year, barring an insane injury streak for a team. Shout out the Pels. Pels mentioned. I have the Kings winning 24 games and losing 58. Some names stick out to you for this team, but the talent overall, the depth, the cohesiveness just is not there in Sacramento. Let's just say they will not be lighting the beam very much in this upcoming year. This is a year for the Kings to reestablish hope in their franchise via their young players, even guys like, I consider him young still, Keegan Murray in his 4th year, I believe. Looking for a jump from him, especially as a shooter. If that 3-point shot can fall, that's going to do a lot for the Kings' future. They don't have to win many games, but Acuff needs to look quality by the middle of the season. Those are my thoughts on the Sacramento Kings. I've been recording for 20 minutes just talking about the worst team in basketball. This has been fun. All right, hopefully next up you will see another video just like this. I'm going to try to post these once a week. Don't bet on that, though. This could very well be the last video you see for a month. Thank you so much for watching the video. This has been Jacob Pearsall, signing off. Bye!